Good day, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, November 8th, 2010, and I'm Darko. New listeners, please visit my website, ggnonline.com. That's www.ggnonline.com. We're going to talk about the economy in this video, and I'm going to pretty much blast through headlines, read a little bit about them, and I'll post the links in the description part of the video, so I recommend checking those out. A lot of good information in here, and kind of give you the overview of the news for the past couple days. So some may be a couple days old and some may be from today. But either way, thank you for joining me. You can visit my website like I just plugged, and here we go. The first one up is gold rises to record above $1,400. Says gold powered to an all-time high above $1,400 an ounce on Monday, extending its record-breaking rally to a third day, as safe haven buying prompted by renewed budget problems in Ireland more than offset a sharp dollar bounce. Says gold has risen almost 6% since just before the Fed's detailed its plans last Wednesday to buy $600 billion worth of treasuries to revive the economy, but the Fed's action also stoked inflation fears. So we'll move on to oil. Next one up, oil eases from a two-year peak as dollar strengthens, and it says U.S. oil prices slipped on Monday as a stronger dollar and the euro's weakness amid renewed eurozone debt concerns helped pull oil from a two-year peak above $87 a barrel. And I just read some crap yesterday where it was saying or implying that oil prices went up based off improved, what was it, the job rate was improved. So they're going to jack up oil prices. I mean, they'll just pick any reason out of the sky to increase oil prices. So it says banks and strong dollar pull stocks lower. Wall Street retreated from a two-year high on Monday, weighed down by financial stocks and a stronger U.S. dollar. Move on to the euro. Euro slips as eurozone debt prompts fret. The euro fell against the U.S. dollar for a second straight session on Monday as budget problems in Ireland and eurozone debt issues prompted investors to seek safety in the greenback. The euro, which fell Friday after a stronger than expected U.S. jobs report, so there you go, extended losses Monday on Europe's sovereign debt concerns. Said the dollar had slipped to a 9.5-month low against the euro after the Federal Reserve last Wednesday said it would buy $600 billion of treasuries by mid-2011 to lower interest rates and reinvigorate a sluggish economy. So it's all a big scam, right? Bankruptcy of U.S. is mathematical certainty, says former CEO of nation's 10th largest bank. This is from November 4th. I didn't get a chance to cover it last time, but it says John Allison, who for 2 decades served as the chairman and CEO of BB&T, the nation's 10th largest bank, told CNSnews.com it is a mathematical certainty that the United States government will go bankrupt unless it dramatically changes its fiscal direction. And moving on here, it says Bernanke stands by Fed's moves. Well, of course he does. And from the birthplace of the Federal Reserve System and the Federal Reserve Act, Jekyll Island, Georgia, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke countered those worried by the central bank's decision to resume buying large amounts of Treasury securities, saying Saturday that the action is just as effective. Conventional monetary policy conducted with different tools, quote, there is not really, in my mind, as much discontinuity as people think, end of quote, in the path of the Fed is currently following, said the central bank chief said, quote, this sense out there that quantitative easing or asset purchases is some completely far removed strange kind of thing and we have no idea what the hell is going to happen and it is just unanticipated, unpredictable policy is quite the contrary. This is just monetary policy. Well, this is called rigging the market, but you know, you can use the big fancy words and use a big paragraph to explain how you're going to scam people and how it's not free market. So, and you'll see what I'm talking about as we keep moving on through these articles, talking about how it's bad to go back on the gold standard as was a president of the World Bank is calling for. It says Canada housing starts drop, mortgage sector too slow. Toronto and Reuters, it says Canadian housing starts fell a greater than expected 9.2% in October, hitting their lowest level in more than a year. Data indicated on Monday, suggesting the slowing housing market could become a drag on economic growth. New home construction fell to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 167,900 units from a downwardly revised 185,000 in September. Canada Mortgage and Housing Corp said on Monday. It says the number misanalysis forecast for 183,000 starts, and September starts were previously reported at 186. So, and I'll be talking about Australian mortgage debt and that. And it says here the report also showed Canadian homeowners are comfortable with their mortgage debt and believe they can handle an increase in interest rates. Citigroup warns customers it may refuse to allow withdrawals. This was a story that happened over the weekend. Basically, I knew someone personally that couldn't go online with their Wells Fargo account. I guess there was other banks such as Chase and PNC and Bank of America that also, it was a nationwide kind of blackout there for their ATM machines. You couldn't withdraw cash. And the reason I'm showing this article, which is from February 19th, 2010, is because Citigroup here warns customers it may refuse to allow withdrawals. Well, if you know your history, you know what a bank run is. It happened back in the early 1900s around the Great Depression, and it's where banks call it a bank run or bank holiday. It's basically you can't withdraw your money. The bank won't let you. It says the image of banks locking their doors to keep customers from making withdrawals during a bank run is what immediately came to mind when we heard that Citigroup was telling customers it has the right to prevent any withdrawals from checking accounts for 7 days. It says effective April 1st, 2010, we reserve the right to require 7 days advance notice before permitting a withdrawal from all checking accounts. While we do not currently exercise this right and have not exercised it in the past, we are required by law to notify you of this change. It says, and when you read that, it almost makes you think that it's what they're saying is required by law. No, it's just they have to tell you that's what's required by law. It's, if you read it real fast, you've got to interpret it as that, you know. That's it's like the legalese, man. It's some confusing stuff. And if you're just a commoner, a lonely old peasant, man, you're going to get screwed over. You can sign away your own, your own execution. You won't even know it because it'll sound like it'll be helping you. Computer issues plagued several Valley banks. There were many frustrated bank customers in the Valley on Saturday, and if you were having problems accessing your banking information or even getting to your money, you weren't the only one. Several Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America customers were saying they had problems. Both Chase and Wells Fargo said they had computer issues earlier this Saturday, which shut down their systems. They said banking operations should be back to normal Saturday night. And, I went down here just to check out the comments on the other stories. And, the gist that I was getting from a lot of these comments were people weren't really focused on the actual bank holiday or bank run situation or issue here. They were more focused on the Chinese attacking computer infrastructure and actually buying into the recent propaganda that the government's been putting out about cyber attacks, right? Because it was it was a cyber awareness month in October, people. So it's just more propaganda than usual, that's all. And like I said in my last video, the biggest threat that you have to worry about is your own government carrying out the false flag terrorist attacks against infrastructure and the economy. So I mean, just look at this. This right here is a squared swastika, guys. I mean, it's everywhere. These people are everywhere, and they are nefarious, and they just steal from you, and they use the government to keep stealing and protect their asses, right? So yet people are too focused on all this crap like, security. Oh, we better look at that. So this is from stevequayle.com, warning of possible bank holiday, emergency request for an additional verification from those in the banking world on rumored bank shutdowns. He's asking people to email him if they know anything more. But yeah, so he covered this November 4th. And moving on here, this is from the BBC. Still have plenty of news left in this last 5 minutes, so just stick with me here. A lot of interesting stuff. Long-term jobless could face compulsory manual labor. It says long-term benefit claimants would be forced to do manual labor under proposals to be outlined by Work and Pensions Secretary Iain Duncan Smith. He is due to outline plans for a 4-week placements doing jobs like gardening and litter clearing. He said the message would be play ball or it's going to be difficult. But under the plan, claimants thought to need, quote, experience of the habits and routines of working life could be put on 30-hour-a-week placements. Anyone refusing to take part or failing to turn up on time to work could have their 65-pound job seekers allowance stopped for at least 3 months. And you know, this is, like I said, this is all by design, and you know, they bring down our economy. The bankers, these globalists, and you know, individuals that are selling their citizens out in each country throughout the world are claiming austerity measures. You know, because you stole a lot of money, and then you took all that money through taxpayers and gave it back to the people that they were stolen from, had all their wealth stolen from, and so now, you know, ooh, the checking account for the corporation, the United States and the UK and all them, ooh, they're kind of in the red, they're in the negative balance. We gotta cut all your social programs that we got you all, you know. It's, you know, that you've been paying into for years, right? And if they're not even really all that good, they just give you the minimum basic services because most of the money goes in towards the CIA, towards the wars in Afghanistan and Iran, now Pakistan, and of course, you know, giving money out to other countries for the poor, while people here are starving and 50% unemployment in Detroit. So yeah, it's all a big game, right? It's exporting the our wealth and all of the business that we have. But this right here, of course, says return to the gold standard would be madness. Well, you got to look at this first, right? Zolik seeks gold standard debate. Leading economies should consider readopting a modified global standard to guide currency movements, argues the president of the World Bank. And then you move on to here. And then you get, bam, right on the flip side, kind of a double thing. Edmund Conway, return to the gold standard would be madness. And he goes through here and he talks about Robert Zolik's comment. And you can go in here and read it yourself. But, you know, I have a relative that works in, you know, in the in the financial sector, Board of Trade, Chicago, and that, and. You know, I brought it up. I brought them up. They asked me who I was voting for, and you know, I threw out a name, but you know, I don't really vote, and you know, just by invoking that name, you know, I just got kind of not really attacked, but you know, kind of attacked because you know, talking about ending the Federal Reserve and getting back on the gold standard, and it's just like that's a ridiculous thing now. We're living in a time now where you talk about ending the Federal Reserve system. Which is born out of a fraud to begin with, and is a separate entity outside the U.S. government that can do anything that they want. They have a dictatorship over our currency and monetary policy. And if you want that to end, if you want them to be at least have some kind of like, you know, oversight, then you're an extremist. And if you want to go back on the gold standard, you're an extremist. So, you know, a good little fascist here. Good job. Raw story, banks spying on your bills, rent payments, paychecks. Report says the age of plain old credit score is gone, says a report at the Wall Street Journal, and it's been replaced by even more intrusive efforts by bank and credit agencies to gauge exactly what you're worth and what you can pay. Got to keep moving on here. Run out of time. New ways bankers are spying on you. That's the same thing pretty much. Health insurance companies stockpiled billions in profits while hiking premiums on customers. Nonprofit health insurance companies have been stockpiling billions of dollars in surpluses while raising members' rates, according to analysis conducted by the Nonprofit Consumer Union. And Louisiana sues Big Pharma for Medicaid fraud. Next one up. Channel Tunnel rail link sale begins. UK's big sell-off, the great austerity auction of state-owned assets, has commenced after a pair of Canadian pension funds splashed out $2.1 billion to acquire High Speed 1. This is all part of the IMF, World Bank's riots And as they gut each economy and bring on austerity measures, yeah, they sell it off. They sell off all the public infrastructure and that on the cheap, while the economy's been, of course, purposefully imploded and brought down. Northern Ireland economy posts sharp decline. Sharp decline in business activity has plagued Northern Ireland, resulting in more job losses and increased unemployment rate. Here we go. Let them eat cheese. Anger as Ireland plans handouts of cheddar to the poor. Next one up, Commonwealth Bank boss Ralph Norris says rising rates are good for the economy. Houses seized as loan defaults hit. Thank you everyone for joining me, and check out my other